You're watching an episode of Spirits People Live with Johnny Michelson.
All right, there we go, live on a Tuesday. Spirits People Live with the rum tasting. Let's see what happens. All right, Bobby, what's going on, man? Jonathan is here. Mark Carter is here. Mark Carter, I still need your address. I am trying to send you a tote bag, but you haven't responded to my messages. Whiskey Pilgrim is here from Sweden, I believe. Sheldon Legende. What's going on, guys? Rum Exchange is also here. We have your product. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm trying something new. I'm sitting down. I always stand up during these because I have a standing desk. But yeah, I wanted to actually just sit down, try that for a change. Emma, what's going on? I don't know if you have this one, Emma. I'm not sure if your rum phase is over, but we'll see. We'll see where this takes us. So just waiting for Steven, aka Rum_Diaries, and speak of the devil himself. There he pops up. What's going on? Emma's drinking gin. You're in a gin phase there, Emma. Let's see if this weird kind of scenario here is working out. So I'm trying a new kind of tripod here, and it's a little bit higher, so I wanted to just try and sit down for a change and see how that works. I might have to stand up at some point, because sitting down is, I don't know, it just feels weird. I'm used to kind of like dancing around a little bit. Alright, let's get Steven on, and we'll get this show on the road, and we'll taste some rum. Let's see here. And gonna need this because I'm gonna open it. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this without killing myself. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
What's happening? Oh, maybe it's I'm also trying up a new microphone. Hold on. Is that better?
I can hear you.
No, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Okay, this is interesting. I'll try to unplug the mic here. How's that?
Hey.
All right. There he is. How's my voice now? Is it super weird now?
It's a little bit tinny, but yeah, it was. Yeah, you may not be able to hear with your new setup, but the sound quality from you was excellent.
Oh, sweet. All right. I might have to get a double output from my phone. So yeah, I bought this amazing little thing here. I'll pull it out of my t-shirt. So yeah, this little mic here does absolute wonders. But yeah, I think for some reason it also tries to take the audio out. So input and output, which obviously it's not going to work. Anyway, fuck that. We'll put this to the side and we'll try again next week when I've got an adapter. So, how's life?
Oh, good, you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm trying this whole sitting down thing, which is... I don't know if I like it or not. We'll see. We'll see how I get on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I normally, I don't know how long you were in there, but yeah, I stand up because I have a standing desk at my house.
Right.
But I also have a drafting chair that I know my wife uses that when she works from home. But yeah, I normally just stand up because it just feels good. But
yeah.
We'll see what happens. I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
As soon as I get some of this in me, we should be okay.
You probably are.
1.5%.
It's probably best to sit down with that one.
Yeah, yeah, I have my water dropper here because I have a feeling I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's already water in there.
All right, so yeah, we got the Rum Exchange here is in the house as well. So he's checking out the evaluation here. So I'm going to pour these as soon as I can so we can let them sit for a bit. So
Yep.
I got a tasting glass and a tumbler. So I'm gonna try them in both because I do feel like this is going to be pretty intense in the tasting glass. I'll give it a go in a tumbler as well, just to kind of get a little bit more of a mellow version of this. But yeah, 61.5% is pretty intense.
Yeah, it can be. It's a relatively young spirit as well.
But
Yeah, it's tasty enough. Mine's been in the glass. Well, this is the second pour. I took notes initially because tonight was the first time that I'd taken the seal off the bottle.
yeah,
So I took a few notes, which will form like the initial basis. But this, I did find that this was from 5 minutes, 10 minutes to 25 minutes later. It's constantly developing, and
Nice.
kind of the alcohol was kind of removing itself from the equation. It was giving far more. So the initial notes that I have are based on about a half an hour time period between pour and finishing those notes, and now I've added about 7 or 8 drops of water to it, to a fresh pour, just to kind of see that. And this has been in the glass now for maybe about 10 minutes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I'll let it sit for a little bit. I'll kind of nose it, and I kind of wanted to do different than I normally do, because normally I do what you were doing there. Is like I'll open it, take some notes, let it sit.
Yeah.
And once we go live, I'll kind of have initial idea, and then I'll continue to do it. Yeah, I wanted to kind of open it and just kind of see how it develops from its infancy of coming out of the bottle here. So yeah, it might be some of the notes that you'll recognize, or maybe not, because obviously our palates are different. But yeah, cool. A bunch of people joining here. We got Lee, Thirsty Belgium. We got Toby, Whiskey Shared. What's going on, buddy? A YouTuber. Jonathan is here. Robosman87 is here. A bunch of people joining. The Bourbon Patty is here. We got Claire. Claire's always fun. What's going on, Claire? Got Pappy in here as well.
Jonathan won't have his Carlsberg Zero, which is the best.
He's back on the rum. I'm back.
He is back on the rum. Yeah, he's not been sober for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so for anyone joining, this is what we're drinking. This is what I've been posting about for the past couple of days. So yeah, a 5-year-old non-disclosed distillery in Trelawny in Jamaica. And it's, from what I could see, it was 3 years ex-bourbon in Jamaica, and then a couple of years in ex-Oloroso. So yeah, very, very nice and dark. Even for a 5-year-old, even like with 3 years in Jamaica, you wouldn't get that. So I think the Oloroso, even though it's been in Denmark, probably done a little bit of coloring.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I've had 35-year-old. I mean, it is a Hampden, Trelawney. That's where the Hampden estate is. I think Long Pond is kind of in that area as well. But yeah, this is a Hampden.
Nice.
Not sure what mark it is, from 2013, but it definitely doesn't feel like one of the. It's not a ridiculous high ester, or it doesn't feel like a ridiculous high ester unless the Oloroso's dulled it that much. But I can't see that it will have. I've tried 35-year-old Hampdens that have seen all 35 years continental age, and they're nothing like this shade. So this is a lot from the Oloroso.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't nose. I mean, obviously this is what now, 5 minutes open, but yeah, it doesn't feel like super high ester.
No.
There's
But
definitely something there.
it's not necessarily all about the elevated ethyl acetate levels, is it?
No, I mean, like the barrels can. I mean, I feel like I'm definitely already now getting some of that sherry notes. I mean, Oloroso is so it's not like a sweet sherry. It's that Oloroso means aromatic, right? So it's like you get some of that, like quite heavy on the aroma side. But yeah, you get it mixed with a very deep kind of brown sugar molasses note straight off the bat. Oh, it's thick as well. I don't know if anyone can see.
It is proper oily.
Yeah, it's proper oily and no additives. So no sugar. This is all natural.
No sugar, no colour. That should be natural colour as well. Yeah, pure, unadulterated rum, free from added sugar and colouring.
Yeah, so it's pure as can be.
Yeah.
See if I get anything off the nose here. So I got a tumbler as well for anyone just joining here. So just kind of, yeah, so it's just a lot more. It's just sweet. In this, you're not getting a lot of aromas. You're just getting kind of like a molasses note, which is quite pleasant. You wouldn't think that this is 61.5% out of this glass right here. I would feel this nose is like a 45%. I'm not going to knock it back, but it definitely feels like a low ABV.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't fire it back. I mean, my initial notes were I think the early exchanges are definitely heavily dominated by the sherry. You pick the sherry, it takes it. I mean, this is Hampden. I've tried DOC, which is ridiculous high ester level. DOK, which is Dermot Owen Kelly, is the name behind the DOC mark, and I think that's probably in excess of 1,000 or 1,200 grams per hectoliter of absolute alcohol.
Okay.
So that's a high level, and I've tried that 6 months in PX barrels. That was actually the guys that bottled this 1423 World Class Spirits in Denmark. They are the guys behind the SBS, the single barrel selection.
Right.
That was their DOC. That was a Hampden DOC, 6 months in PX, and the Hampden, obviously, that was a highest mark, so that did fight through the PX, which was very sweet, but it was kind of a decent combo. This, I think, the sherry, considering this is a Hampden, the sherry dominates the early exchanges. Really, it's kind of raisins and fruitcake.
Yeah,
straight up. And it's kind of gone into almost like a toffee sauce kind of note to it. Maybe, the Quality Street sweets that anyone will only ever buy at Christmas, like the little golden toffee pennies, that kind of chewy caramel sweet.
Yeah.
Although the Jamaican does fight through, but it does take time.
There's a little bit of that sharpness. As I'm kind of just warming it up here, it's a little bit of that sharpness. Like I'm starting to get a little bit of the esters. It's almost like a charred pineapple and a little bit overripe banana and stuff like that. Kind of with some nail varnish. The nail varnish kind of pushing that out of the glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, initially it smelled like, and for people with a Danish preference, the sherry sauce that you have with your Christmas kind of rice pudding. It's a very specific sherry sauce that you have, and it's like it has glazed cherries in the sauce, and it's like a thick, almost like a syrup. But it's
right.
Like it's just cherries like all day long, and it's like a very sweet, almost sickly sweet sauce that you eat on top of this like rice pudding. And that was what I was getting, which was interesting because I would normally get that out of a PX.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it kind of went away, and now I'm getting that kind of nail varnish and a little bit of those kind of tropical fruit notes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd normally associate Oloroso with maybe being still got the kind of like the raisin fruits, but a little bit nutty as well.
Yeah.
But I think I'd gone with it's well, these are the basic bullet point notes. There, it's definitely not balls out like high ester Jamaican funk. It's relatively approachable, even though it is definitely Jamaican. A little bit of astringency, a little bit of acetone, candied pineapple, kind of like the caramelized pineapple sugars, banana bread with a hell of a lot of sweetness in there, which will be coming from the sherry. But you do get with Hamden, there is a real kind of bright fruit note that runs through it, mainly pineapple. But when you look at something like Long Pond as well, which, you know, it is in Trelawny as well, you look at the stuff that they produce there, and it's really, you get that like kind of bright acidic fruit within there, and it seems to be a characteristic of the region. But there is a little bit of oak that does kind of get through as it warms up. It does kind of fight through, but it's not real wood influence. It's more kind of maybe a little bit of barrel spice in there.
Yeah. It's funny though, because I just took my first sip. I am definitely getting the sherry note in here, but I'm also getting some oak. There's definitely some oak in here, but it's not like your, I don't know if is this a first fill Oloroso or something like that, where there's maybe a little bit of the actual sherry in the barrel, but yeah, there's not a lot of char at all. Like, I'm not getting any char, but I'm definitely getting a little bit of oak.
Yeah, I would hope that they weren't wet barrels, because obviously free from adulteration. If they are wet barrels, then
Yeah.
you know that's the one thing that you it's it's not. It measures 62% on the hydrometer, so it's got nothing in there to throw off the density, which would lead me to believe that it's not soaking wet barrels. And it is just because I've tried Worthy Parks from 1423 from Oloroso barrels. One of those, the initial release, was quite sulphury. It had once I found that sulfur on the nose, it was really difficult to lose it again. I seem to be relatively sensitive to it, but this one has none of that kind of off sulfury note. Not something that kind of jumps towards you anyway.
Oh, the ABV is drying out my cheeks and my tongue.
Mm.
But I think that ABV contributes to the profile here. I think at a lower ABV, it wouldn't be I mean, you could say that about everything, but I think I'm definitely getting a sensation that the ABV is carrying a lot of those key flavors that we're kind of talking about.
Mm.
I think it's at a lower proof. This would, I don't know. I'm going to add some water actually.
Yeah.
I'll see what happens here.
I've maybe got about 10 drops of water too. I don't really measure pours, which is probably a bad thing, but this is, I assume, somewhere in the region of about, I don't know, 40 ml maybe.
Looks like 35 to me.
There's 10 drops of water in there, and I think you're right. I think if it was carrying something 45%, 46%, maybe even taking it up to 50%, I think what the alcohol content brings to the table would be at something below 50 would probably the Oloroso would be too dominant. And I think you would lose a lot of what makes or what gives it that the Hamden characteristic.
So I put a lot of water in here. I put like probably 20 drops. Yeah, I'm losing all of the sherry right now. I'm getting more of that kind of caramel sweetness. Maybe it's from the bourbon barrels, but also I think that the rum characteristic is coming through more clean. It's almost like it's unaffected by that sherry note right now, but it's very subdued. It's almost like it's been knocked. It almost, yeah. It smells like this. It smells like this. Yeah, the nose is almost gone. Like it's very simple now. It's a very simple nose. But yeah, it has some nail varnish, and maybe some banana.
Mm.
Or maybe some raisins.
I mean, it's a strange one. Those 10, I don't even know what that I'd reduce it to, but maybe to from 61.5 based on this, it's probably down to about maybe 58% now. And I think without water, it was a completely different beast. I had it down as obviously the youth and the ABV, even though the youth didn't really show on the nose. The youth and the ABV definitely showed with the first sip. I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost like the first pancake, isn't it? That first sip, it kind of, you get your mouth acclimatized to it, and then you carry on. Right, you know, that first pancake tests the heat of the pan, and it generally comes out burned, and then you just move on and you make better pancakes. I think with this one, it's kind of like, it was quite a savoury entry for it initially for me. Kind of maybe a little bit root vegetable, a little bit smoky as well. Maybe like a smoked cheese kind of effect. But then the sherry really starts to grow, and it brings obviously a lot of stone fruit. Mid palate's bringing quite a lot of bitterness. This was without water, but the mid palate was bringing quite a lot of bitterness, molasses, treacle toffee, and then weirdly, I sat there just chewing over tiny little drops of it, trying to work out what it was, and I got kind of like pickled onions, but done in balsamic vinegar. It was that kind of effect with it, which then kind of grew into pickled onion Monster Munch, which randomly that's what I find in some of the really high ester long pond marks that were released with Velier, like the TECC and the TECA. It's kind of like you get that kind of pickled onion or balsamic vinegar kind of effect with it.
That's very interesting. I'm definitely getting the savory notes. I think, yeah, on the vegetable side of things, I think I'm getting a little bit of green bell peppers. Maybe orange bell peppers. Yeah, it's a savory. It's a weird. Oh man, that's actually really weird. And this now this is with water, and I probably added enough water to bring it below 50%.
Yeah.
And I think this now tastes very sharp, simple, and young.
Yeah.
And I think I probably wouldn't recommend, although this is very high ABV, I probably wouldn't recommend adding water to this. I think it's almost like it's breaking apart that high ABV that's kind of carrying those flavors that make the rum.
I mean, like I say, with just that 10 drops, it really, I mean, I know, I would expect water to change the profile of something, but, taking it, this, like I say, this will be probably sitting at about 58% now, and a lot of that a lot of the savoury note has maybe been knocked down a touch with it, and it has become a little bit more, it has become slightly more simplistic in its approach. I think it was the high ABV that was bringing the acidic note to it, which is kind of, it's gone now, and it seems to have, like I say, it could be to its detriment, but maybe 5 drops would have worked, or maybe a little bit more rum into this little bit here. But
so the finish for me now is pure red licorice. That's all I get. But it's actually the finish is still very long with all the water in it, but it's super simple. It's just red licorice. That's it. Not getting a lot more out of the finish. Where I felt like the first couple of sips without water is like there was quite a bit happening, and it was kind of like an active finish. It was changing. But yeah, now it's just kind of it's a little bit simpler. Yeah.
See, I've added more rum to my glass just to kind of take it back up a notch.
I like your smell. I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna bump it back up.
Yeah, it does kind of. It brings everything else back into play. I think the water it dulled it.
Yeah.
It kind of it almost put a little bit of cling film over the top of the glass and stopped any of the interesting things that were developing below. It stopped them getting out.
I got bottled 201 out of 355 bottles.
I'm 87.
Oh, right. It's quite a neat bottle, actually.
Yeah.
A little unusual, like completely square.
Fits well on the shelf.
Ooh, and the labels is both this and the 002 bottle was done by a friend of mine, Jordan Harper.
Yeah.
So big shout out to him. I don't know if he's watching or not, but yeah, I really love these labels. They're super cool.
No, I don't think that little bit of rum back into the glass, and it livens things back up again.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's a little bit sharp now. I'll let this sit. I should try it out of the. I haven't drank anything out of the tumbler, but I've been kind of nosing it.
So at least if we've done nothing else, we've deduced that this doesn't need water.
I wish I could nose it out of the tasting glass and just drink it out of this, because drinking it out of this, all of a sudden it's way more soft. It's more approachable on the palate. Like it doesn't drink on the kind of 61.5% mark. It drinks a lot lower, because obviously like you got all the vapors like kind of disappearing pretty quick, but on the nose you get absolutely nothing. You can't smell anything. You can just smell like a light hint of some kind of caramel. That's it. Robbo saying if I were going to down the tumbler, is like, nah, it's still 61%, 61.5. Although it doesn't drink like it, it's still pretty punchy.
Yeah, that sounds like something Rob would say. Mind you, he downed 2 tumblers of it, because he is obviously 2 dinners, Rob Buzz.
All right. Aye. Nice.
Yeah, I mean,
you were saying earlier when we were chatting that you're going to do, obviously on your blog, which is amazing. You do all your super detailed reviews. So you're going to be doing a detailed review of this at some point, right?
Yeah.
Nice. And you have do you have the second bottle as well?
Yes, I bought both bottles.
Nice. Did
a little bit of a pre-order. There was a slightly cheaper price on the pre-order, so I signed up pretty much immediately.
Nice.
Well, good to be. But yeah, I mean, I think initially, going back to the kind of like the balsamic vinegar note, the finish, which obviously is ridiculously long.
Yeah.
I'd had starting with kind of like the sweetness of maybe a little bit of pineapple upside down cake, but then that kind of really does start darting back into the savoury with almost like a smoked kind of dairy or cheese note, pickled onion monster munch, and then the only one I can liken it to is Red's Barbecue's Kansas barbecue sauce, which is kind of like smoky but has that kind of sweet smoke with it.
Yeah.
So you get kind of, the slight sweetness to the barbecue. And it's got kind of that on the run into the finish for me.
Rob, what's going on? Got whiskey in the 6 in the house. Podrick, what's going on? My friend Podrick is here. We're drinking some rum. I'll show the bottle again here, just for giggles. Obviously, it's mirrored. So, yeah, read backwards.
No, but when you consider such a young spirit, there, I'm first impressions. I'm impressed with it based on the fact that it's not a typical Hamden. You get, and it's to the point where, don't get me wrong, I love people like Hunter Lang bringing out a lot of the Kill Devil Hamdens, but then you'll get maybe 5 releases at 10 years old, all with 1 or 2 points of ABV difference. And then you do get, you do get more barrel notes from certain of the casks and not, but those things of that age are really, with Hamden, are very much, and Continental age, are very much distillate led rather than barrel led. Because I've tried a 35-year-old Hamden that's seen 35 years in Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
And the barrel, the effects of the wood on that are nothing even approaching what you would expect. I would say on that, there would be more wood in a less than 10-year-old tropically aged Hamden or rum, because we've not seen any tropically aged at 10 years yet. But I would say that there's definitely more wood in something that's 10 years old than there is in that 35-year down in Liverpool. Right. Obviously it's typically Hamden. It's kind of got that beautiful astringency, beautiful bright fruit, really proper, decent funk to it. But you kind of, with a lot of those, you do get some real standouts. Like there are a couple of Berry Brothers and Rudd bottles of 70-year-old Hamdens, and they sit for about 75 quid. Yeah. And some of those are absolutely beautiful. Same with the Kill Devil. They're really, really good. But you get the 10, the 11-year-old kind of Hamdens that get released. And there are lots of them that sit at that age, and they're all kind of the high ester stuff. Occasionally, it's nice to get something that isn't the typical output that you would expect that you see on the market. And I think this Oloroso, definitely with the SBS PX with the dock, was a masterstroke, really. Yes, it was very sweet, but it tempered the dock really well. And it kind of,
yeah, Chris,
it took it to a different place, took it to somewhere quite interesting. And I think this is what this is doing with this one as well. The Oloroso cask is kind of, it's taking it into another direction, and it's taking something that could, don't get me wrong, it sounds really, horrible that I'm sitting here and saying, well, every Hamden of such and such a mark smells the same. That's like complaining that somebody's given you a 10 quid instead of 20 quid. If somebody's still giving you something, it's still a beautiful product. But it's like, how many 10-year-old Hamdens of the exact same mark from sister casks can you own before you think to yourself, maybe I don't need another Hamden at 10 years old from barrel 267, then barrel 268.
Yeah.
It's giving something different. And I think I welcome it, to be honest. It's not your typical Hamden. Hamden's there, but it takes it to another direction. And they're getting very good at at handling the rums over at Josh over at 1423 in Denmark. He's doing a really good job, and the stuff he does with SBS, and obviously he bottled this. They do a good job, and I think that, well, I've not tried the Worthy Park yet, but I think this has been well chosen. I think it's something it's something different in the marketplace for Hamden, and I think that should be applauded.
Nice. Yeah, we should do the. So what I did, I was telling you this earlier, but like for everyone out watching here, so a good tip if you want to try something but don't want to buy a bottle, like find someone else who wants to split the bottle with you, or buy multiple bottles and split them in a group. So I bought this bottle together with Whiskey of the People here on Instagram. So he has the other one and I have this one. So I'll drink about half and then we'll swap. So yeah, we'll see if we can make it align with the stars, and we can do maybe a tasting of the second bottle as well at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, obviously you know way more about rum than I do, and like I wouldn't be able to say whether or not this is a Hamden profile or not. I think what I can say though is that at 5 years old, with only 3 years in the Caribbean and a couple of years resting in a barrel in Denmark, I'm quite impressed with how this came out. And also, it wasn't overly expensive. I mean, obviously, it's more expensive than what you just find in the supermarket and stuff like that. But you're also getting a lot more character for your money. So yeah, just on the profile on its own, I was just like, yeah, this is fucking solid. 5 years old,
yeah.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
I will say though, with the water there, it was a little bit dangerous. So at a very high proof, you would be tempted to dilute it a little bit to make it approachable. But yeah, I would say don't do that.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Drink it neat.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously both had to go back to the glass and pour more rum in there just to bring the ABV back up again.
Yeah,
it's kind of it was the water was taking over, and I didn't think I'd overdone it with the water. You know, I've taken stuff that's been at about 58% and put that much water in there, and it's really opened up and not deadened it. Whereas this, I found deadened it. Maybe that's the youth. Maybe the fact that it is relatively young means that it wasn't carrying enough maturity to fight back against the water.
Yep. Yeah. I'm definitely I'm with you right there. So yeah, it's too young to have enough depth, really. So what's Rob saying here? Bruegel 14-year-old double aged. Wish the ABV was higher. Rob with rum. We need the rum in the 6. Oh gosh. But yeah, this is I'm very pleased. I didn't know what to expect because obviously, yeah, like 5 years is. I mean, I'm a whiskey guy, so like if you look at something that's 5 years, it's borderline drinkable. But yeah, I would say this here is, yeah, I'm very impressed, very happy.
Mm. Would you say that's potentially with American whiskey maybe down to distillation method? Because isn't a lot of it is kind of like single column, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of, I mean, so obviously Scotch is different. I'm just getting into Scotch, but yeah, American whiskey a lot is column still. So obviously you're going to get a lot of those flavors kind of taken out already from the day you distill the spirit, unless you do it at a shorter column, which I know that a lot of craft distilleries would do. That wouldn't have the kind of 40 plus plates to do vodkas and stuff like that. They would have maybe a shorter column. So yeah, they would be able to like get some flavors out even at like a single column still or like a combined still or whatever. But yeah, a lot of the bigger producers, like the 5 or 6 like massive producers, would all like mass produce. So yeah, they will obviously have to have other tricks up their sleeves, such as their mash bills, their raw materials, their yeast, and the barrels. Of course, barrel is massively important.
Yeah, I mean, barrel is almost king, I suppose, with bourbon, with it being the new American oak, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think a couple of years ago I researched it heavily because I was doing a small talk at Manchester Science Festival, and I tried to get my head around. There's not really too much rum specific distillation wise that you can find out about, but there's a hell of a lot of whiskey distillation that you can find out about. So I ended up getting on a little bit of a rabbit hole with bourbon and basing it on the fact of almost the new American oak is beneficial because obviously with a single column you get the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's not a case of, with a pot still, it's a time driven process where you choose where you take your cuts, and then you can maybe utilize some of the heads or tails, and then redistill, because they'll obviously carry something that you're after, but not something that you want to carry through to the final blend.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with a column still, it's location driven. So it's obviously it's whether you take off a higher plate or a lower plate. So you run the risk of low rectification, which then, whilst it does gather some of the heavier aspects that you need, it does also take some of the nasties as well. Whereas the fresh, the virgin oak will kind of quickly round out or kind of hammer off those sharp edges in a short period of time. And then, I don't know, I mean, it's just what I ended up reading about and wondering if that is why virgin oak is synonymous with, maybe it goes hand in hand with the distillation method. Maybe that was why it's used. Yeah,
I mean, it's an interesting. I haven't thought about that aspect in particular. I was looking at some science stuff on distillation not too long ago about the difference between your taking out your heads in particular from a pot still, where you can basically calculate like the heads based on temperature and volume and the size of your still, whereas I think it takes a lot more setup and it takes a lot more roundabout in the distillery to run a column still, because you need to fine tune that over time, whereas like a pot still, you do it like time after time, obviously like a single pot and then a single pot. So yeah, just like the fact that people still use column, or not column still, like pot stills, and like really just rely on the human palate to define like when do you do your cuts and stuff like that. I'm absolutely amazed, because like in a day and age where like technology is everywhere, it's like you should just have like a fucking robot make the perfect juice all the time, but it's like it doesn't work that way. Like it's always like it's the palate that defines what goes into the barrel in the first place. So yeah, I don't know too much about the column still version of that, but yeah, like the pot still like method is just so old school. It is. It's unbelievably inefficient as a method of distillation. Yeah. But it's, but that's, I think, where that's where the character comes from. I've walked around, been fortunate enough a couple of times to walk around Foursquare with Richard Seal, and been fortunate enough to taste, to rub on your hands, and obviously we were told not to taste because of the ABV that it's sitting at, but obviously a slight taste, or a lick of the hands afterwards, to taste something that's been from one of the tanks after you've got a distillate that's come off the pot still. And the aroma and flavour that you get from there is really kind of evocative of that method, and it kind of that smell permeates the distillery. So when I sit down and I'll nose something from Foursquare, and you'll pick out these things and you just think, well, that smells like walking from the front door past the fermentation vats, down into the steps, through into where the pot stills are, and you get yourself on a little journey as you go through, because you've smelt these things at source, and it's kind of like that element of connection. I know that. I'm moaned for a hell of a lot of years where people were saying to me that, unless you visit these distilleries, then you shouldn't really form an opinion based on looking in the bottle, which is, of course, is complete bollocks, because, I've spent my money on the bottle, so I'm entitled to an opinion. Yeah. But I think they were wording it incorrectly, or maybe being slightly elitist, or maybe just being a bunch of arseholes, whereby it is evocative, of those things, and you smell things that you smell in the distillery. You feel things that you've felt in those places, and that connection, I think, is completely solid, and it's valid as a connection. But just the feel of the stuff off the pot still. I've tried it at Foursquare, and then we were fortunate a few years ago to go around with a chap called Blues, who's been operating the
pot stills at Mount Gay for years. And he's really personable chap, shows you around, knows everything that, everything about everything that is there. Took us to try, there were bottles of heads, bottles of tails that we got to sniff, and then bottles of, what he'd taken as rum, and it was maybe sitting about 75%. And, that kind of stuff, if you bottled that, there will be a queue to buy it. It was kind of, it ran, it was completely unaged, and it kind of run this gamut of like heavy molasses, running into kind of black olives and these really bright and deep notes to it, which obviously, it is a dark art operating a pot still, I think, but you can run it in different ways. The people that, there are a lot of really interesting, exciting people that kind of exist in the rum world at the minute. There's a lot of openness and a lot of sharing that goes on that didn't used to happen, or it used to happen behind closed doors. Obviously, you've got Richard Seal, I've met Vivian Wisdom from Hamden at Rumfest, and you get people like Zan from Worthy Park, and you get this access, or unprecedented access, without visiting the distilleries, that was never previously available, and it gives you this kind of extra connection to the place. But the information that's out there, you look at Maggie Campbell from Privateer over in the States. I've never tried anything that they've produced at Privateer because it's not widely distributed in the States. So there's little to no chance of us getting it over in the UK. But the level of detail that she goes into with regards to, the information that she knows about yeasts, and just random comments about how she's able to produce certain types of spirit by running the pot still in different ways, is just bonkers. The control and the level of input, or human input, that is required to get the best out of it is crazy.
You know what? Like, I was just thinking, like, it's the difference between riding a fixie or like a 18 gear road bike.
Yeah.
You have all the options to fine tune and like whatever, like, oh, you're going a slight angle, you're down your gears, but like in a fixie, it's all about like, you have to know. It's that kind of like, that kind of skill, which I don't know why I thought about that, but yeah.
It's because you're drinking something at 61.5%.
Yeah, 61%, guys, 61%. Seriously. Yeah, it's going down easily. That's the problem here. It's it's very drinkable.
Yeah. It definitely is.
Yeah. And it just, I would say, because now this has been open for a while, actually, because I did open the bottle on the stream, and yours was open a little bit earlier, so I'll say that it's a lot more tropical fruit coming out of the glass now than in the very beginning, so it definitely helps letting it sit for a bit. I think some of that sherry is also kind of rounded off a little bit. It was very sharp in the beginning.
Yeah,
it's more balanced. Feels more.
It does kind of become a little bit more kind of almost perfumed on the nose, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little fragrant. Yeah, I think it's kind of finding its place in the glass almost. I
think I'd definitely be interested to get the bottle down a little way past the shoulders and then come back to it in maybe a week or two.
Yeah.
Once it's had a little bit of time to
a week or two
to get. I have the Worthy Park. To come back to it once it's kind of it's kind of become comfortable in its own skin a little bit.
Yeah. I might pour some into a small sample bottle and save it. I know someone was talking about this the other day. I can't remember if it was in person or I was chatting with someone. But yeah, someone was saying they were pouring from whatever they buy. They pour it into like little sample bottles at different stages so that they have and they can kind of compare.
Right.
I think it was a chat with someone. But yeah, it's quite interesting because some people claim that there's no difference, like air doesn't change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on like if the bottle is actually not sealed properly and like air will get in, then obviously I think it will change. But like if it's properly sealed, then yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done any experiments, so.
Well, you probably never hold on to a bottle for long enough.
No.
But I've had I've had bottles whereby I've had them fresh, enjoyed it, and then I've had them sitting on a shelf for 6 months with the cork closure in there, and I've enjoyed it, but it's been a slightly different experience. And then I've also had it where the bottle's been sat there for 12 months, and I've come back to it, and it's deadened the spirit too much. And that was a bottle of, I think that was one of the old bottles of RL Seal 10, the one with the kind of the blue glass and the weird bendy neck. But the issue with that is the corks were notoriously shocking in those bottles. And
Right.
the problem with that was the neck didn't take a standard cork. It was kind of a specific cork for that bottle.
Right.
So as that cork had sheared, I was only able to kind of push it partially into the bottle. And I think it deteriorated pretty rapidly.
Mm.
But, I mean, whether it's an issue or not, I think I've noticed enough change in bottles that have got past the shoulder versus freshly open bottles
Yeah.
to kind of, to make me think that there are things that do change in there with the oxidation and the spirit.
Yeah.
It's enough for me to, on some of the Velier bottles and stuff that, you know, is maybe too expensive to drink every day, I've taken a 200 ml flask bottle, pouring some into that, and then using a wine preserver gas and then parafilm sealer on the bottle, put that away. So at least it, you know, for the sake of 15 quid, it's been a case of I'm not taking any risks. I think I personally feel that I've noticed enough of a difference
Yeah.
to know that if I don't visit that bottle for a 12-month period,
Yeah.
it may deteriorate.
You know, it's one of those things I always wish I would have enough time and mental capacity to care about that kind of experiment. Because I'm generally intrigued and I really want to know, but I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But man, yeah, so I just poured the drop from the tumbler into this, and it doesn't smell like anything.
Mm.
It's almost like it's lost all of its vapors just by sitting in the tumbler. It's very, very subdued. There you have it. It's proof. Air changes.
It does. Yeah, it's good. I like this rum.
Mm.
It's an interesting take on a Hamden, and I think, yeah, it's been done well.
Nice. Cool. Excellent. That's a good conclusion, because we also have to do a giveaway. And let me see if I can navigate this whole space sitting down, which is unusual for me. So let's see here. Boom.
Okay.
The tote bag. The infamous. So yeah, for anyone watching who doesn't know, I am doing a weekly giveaway of a Spirits People tote bag, and all you have to do is join the hashtag Spirits Tuesday, and yeah, there will be some stuff up on my feed so you can read about that. But yeah, we'll do a giveaway now and see who is this week's winner. Let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 16. All right, so 2 to 16. I have a feeling I know the number, but your choice, Stephen.
2 to 16. I'm gonna go with 6.
Unexpected. I thought you were going to pick 5, but we'll do 6. Okay, random. Chasing rum.
Hey,
Amazing.
appropriate.
Appropriate. Awesome. Normally I would unplug, but like I have cables everywhere right now, so So yeah, I'm not going to unplug, but Chasing Rum. This week's winner. How many entries? 3 entries. That's pretty good. Chasing Rum, I believe, from Sweden, maybe.
Right.
Yeah. So Chasing Rum, this week's winner of the tote bag, and a cheers in rum to Chasing Rum. Cool. Well, that was fun. I'm happy. Now I just need to figure out. It'll be interesting to listen back to this and see how my audio is now that I unplugged this microphone that I was super happy with, but now I'm not very happy with it. But we'll see what happens. Cool. So when are you off on holiday again? Very soon.
That one is that one's in November.
Oh, November.
Kind of mid-November, yeah.
All right.
Trip back over to Barbados.
Oof. Nice. Do you have your distillery trips planned already, or it's kind of you're communicating and setting it up?
I've spoken to Richard, and just obviously we've tried to find a time when him and Gail are not in another country, doing a thing that they do, educating and selling the good word. But so seems like 17th of November is what is now going to be called International Foursquare Day, because there's the Foursquare Rum Appreciation Society on Facebook, started by Richard B. From over in Holland, who's a good guy.
Nice.
And it was, I think it was 1996, 17th of November, that the distillery was opened.
All right.
So, we're going to be celebrating the 17th as Foursquare Rum Day. And unbeknownst to me, and it kind of was announced afterwards, I'll be in Barbados on Foursquare Rum Day. So, with a bit of luck, obviously the distillery's closed on a Sunday, but no doubt I'll buy a bottle of Old Brigand and be drinking it somewhere.
Nice. That sounds amazing, man. I think people here are jealous. So.
Well, I've tried to tee up Mount Gay, another trip to Mount Gay. They've in the bit between last year's visit, which was kind of April, I think. They've installed a twin column still into the still house. I saw the area where it was going to be located.
All right.
Which, if you're in the still house, as you go in, if you enter from kind of outside as opposed to through past the fermentation vats, come up a staircase, and it's kind of on the left of the staircase, and then to the right hand side you've got 3 pot stills, each with kind of line arms of different lengths, but both with twin retorts. Beautiful setup with those 3 stills. But yeah, the column still is sitting on the left there. So I'm interested in seeing that. So I've tried to put out a few early feelers to get us in to Mount Gay, because it's not really a visitor experience yet. I think they want to turn it into that.
Okay.
But it's not really a full visitor experience. You have the visitor centre in Bridgetown, but it's that's essentially as a glorified gift shop.
Right.
They do nothing there. They bottle at the plant, but they don't like to take photographs of the bottling plant.
All right.
Even though I was taking photographs inside the still, but I can't take a picture of someone bottling it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's the St. Nicholas Abbey, which is a great one. Really small place, beautiful kind of Jacobean building there, which is always good fun, especially to go and see the tortoises that roam around in the gardens. And then, yeah, the other one on the island is West Indies Rum Distillery, which doesn't really hold any interest.
We're on a countdown. We're hitting the hour, so we'll be cut off at any point. Just so everyone knows, like if we're cut off, it's because we're no longer allowed to be live. Always happens.
Yeah.
Always happens.
You know, it's me. I just can't stop yapping.
We love listening to you, Steve. It's like you're reading bedtime stories and have a podcast or something about podcasts and stuff.
Yeah. A lot of useless information. That's all that I spout.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, West Indies rum distillery it holds no real interest. They use their column stills too much, and yeah, I mean they've got the chamber still, but I've been there 2 years ago. Beautiful location, but yeah, it's
Thank you for watching this episode of Spirits People Live. For more videos, check out spiritspeople.com, subscribe on YouTube, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we connect you with spirits people worldwide.